On this episode of the show, we start running our first targeted Facebook ad. Exciting times.
And it's for real. Cue title sequence.
30-minute music marketing for musicians who want to get better at marketing their music.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hello, I'm Sheldon, and this is 30-minute music marketing, the show for independent artists and DIY musicians who want to get better at marketing their music. Thank you very much for watching this particular episode, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook. You could even be listening to it on your preferred podcast platform of choice.
And for Bernard, you could also be listening to it on Spotify.
Spotify with a T or a D, depending on which part of the country that you're from. Yes. Now then, this is quite an unusual episode. We're not normally... We haven't got our Lavalier mics. This is quite a... renegade version.
That's a good word.
A very good word. So
it's like guerrilla podcasting.
Very much so. So 2 nights prior to when we're recording this, we set up our very first Facebook ad campaign. So what you're about to see is us 2 nights ago having a look at audiences for Facebook ads, how to go about setting up not just one, but potentially a variety of audiences, a collection of people who you're potentially going to be advertising to in the future. And then we're going to pick maybe a Facebook post that you might like to run as an ad, and you will show us the video that you're about to watch will show us doing that in real time. Now, we must warn you that normally when we record our particular episodes, it's done on a nice quiet afternoon. However, we recorded what you're about to see on a very busy Tuesday night.
In a working studio with musicians
/ rehearsal room with musicians potentially asking for things, and a dog knocking around. So there may be crossfades where we've edited people out and requests for plectrums, that sort of thing. And pot noodles. So please bear with us. Hopefully you're about to be educated, informed and entertained. And the one thing I will say is that I would recommend watching the episode, not necessarily prior to this, but the episode of 30-Minute Music Marketing called Facebook Ads, What Musicians Need to Know, as it puts this particular episode into context. So if you haven't watched that episode, get watching. Hopefully Greg might put all these Facebook ad related ones in a playlist. Please do that, Greg.
Yeah, I'll put links in the, here.
Ding. Whatever. Hopefully he's put that in. Right, we shall see you on the other side. This is the Facebook Ads Manager platform. Apologies for it's on such a small screen.
It's a little low-fi.
These things can't be helped. If I tried buying a large, 19-inch MacBook, did it make 19 inches?
I think so. Maybe they could donate.
There's lots of individual things on here, which is quite overwhelming at first. The thing I always say is that it's very similar to like a big mixing desk. When you see a big mixing desk for the first time, you think
it looks like a million and one buttons.
It looks like a million and one buttons, but once you get to use the bits that you are going to use, it will all fall into place. Now, the first thing that we want to look at, which is hidden under this particular, what I would refer to as a ribbon here.
So, you
ask
just a quick question.
The listener's question.
The listener's questions. I don't believe, although I was told recently that you can do this on the phone, but would you recommend doing this on a phone?
I don't think you can. I think you can monitor individual campaigns. I don't know whether you can actually start them. Other than checking how your adverts might be going, I'd leave the phone.
So you have to do this on a computer,
yes,
not an iOS or an Android version, right? Okay.
So these 3 ribbons give us access, once I click All Tools, into a variety of...
It does look a little daunting, doesn't it?
It does look a little daunting. The thing I always say, right, just ignore pretty much all of that, and what we're going to go for is we're going to have a look at audience insights.
Okay.
That's basically market research.
Right.
So really what we want to do, if we want to advertise and show some of our music in the form of a video to people, then we want to do it to people who like the same sort of bands or artists who produce musically similar stuff to ourselves. That sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
You want to use a point of reference so it doesn't come
Yeah,
across.
so rather than advertising potentially to everybody and, the people who might be country music fans if you make drum and bass, it helps if you could find some musically similar drum and bass or electronic artists.
Marketing the Wurzels to a pop punk audience
might not be the most
Okay.
it might not be the most sensible thing one has done. I'll just get rid of this little box here. And where it says location, what we're going to do is we're going to augment and add not just the United States, but
Can you take United States off, or is that...
You can, yes. So
Okay.
if I wanted to just
The UK.
have the UK, I could do that.
Right.
I remember the top 6 countries that I mentioned in the last episode. It was Ireland, United Kingdom, United States, Canada.
Okay.
G'day. Australia. And New Zealand.
If there's a space.
Let's just give it one anyway. Right. Okay. We can be quite specific and even just get data about maybe people in a specific city.
Do you think we'll ever be able to target China, or has China really put a dampener on it?
I've never.
Because that is an emerging market, like
But it's
India and...
It's not necessarily the safest in terms. Don't be distracted by anything that might be going on in other rooms.
Yeah, we're in work mode at
We're
the
in
moment.
work mode. We're actually doing this of an evening. Now, when it says interests, so what it's if you have a pan,
A pand?
pad, and a pen and a piece of paper, it would be worthwhile jotting down in order maybe half a dozen to a dozen musically similar acts to yourself. Now, whenever I do this, I always have the same band that I use, but that's fine. Are you aware of a band called Turing Breaks, Greg?
Yes, I am.
Yes, they're great.
I
do love
was going to
them
say
greatly.
you've seen them live, so you must be a fan.
Many times.
Okay.
Many times. The wife really loves them. So I'm going to imagine that I am an alt folk artist producing lovely acoustic music similar to Turing Breaks.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some research on the band Turing Breaks and see what Facebook can tell me. So in terms of interests, I'm going to type in the name of said band there.
Didn't they do the song 74, 75?
72. 74, 75 was someone else. Who was that? Google and put it in the comments.
Box below.
Now, if I wanted to get demographic information about Turing Breaks fans.
Oh, so you can actually find out information of other bands or other things.
Yeah, so I can see that the highest concentration is men based 45 to 54. In fact, that's me. That tells you a little bit. So
I'm not actually in that category.
well done to you. So relationship status. Most people are married. A few singles.
How on earth does it know? This is mind-blowing.
Well, Facebook knows everything. This is what we will come to now. What's interesting for us is if we choose paid likes. So it can tell us information about the pages that are liked on Facebook by Turing Breaks fans, which will give us an indication as to some of the...
This really does remove a lot of the guesswork.
It does. So I wouldn't have thought that Turing Breaks fans would be Liam Gallagher fans, but they are. It tells us
Kendall
about...
Calling. It tells us the festivals that...
Kendall Calling. It's funny enough. I noticed this in the past, that the Shine On Festival, which is like an indie baggy festival, that always comes up on here, and they've at Shine On Festival have actually booked Turing Breaks this year for the first time ever. So maybe someone at Shine On has been doing a bit of research and got, actually, there's lots of Turing Breaks fans who like the Shine On Festival. So, now then, this is what we're interested in. So cast, Shed 7, Paul Draper. Do you know who Paul Draper is?
No, that's the one I don't know who that is.
Lead singer of Manson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm in a wide open space.
He is he's
Not now.
not now, he isn't. But I think. So.
I actually got that album. Attack of the Grey Lanterns.
It's very good.
It was recorded at Park Street Bazaar.
Oh, there you go.
Fun fact.
Fun fact, everyone. So, I can get a bit of an idea now of maybe musically
Could
similar.
this be classed as a tax loss?
What?
That was the...
Oh,
Manson.
yeah. Manson reference.
Sorry, I'll just be quiet now.
But what we can do is, we can assemble different audiences from maybe one particular lead artist. So, I could have a Turing Breaks audience. Write that down.
Mm-hmm.
And I could maybe have
It even tells you just exactly.
Doves.
Oh, they're quite popular at the moment, aren't they?
They are. They're back on the scene.
Although I always preferred Sub.
I know, those were the days. So we could have Turing Breaks and all the bands who sound a little bit like Turing Breaks. We could have Doves, for example, and use those and put Doves in rather than Turing Breaks in our list of interests.
Okay, yeah.
Because the thing is, it's rather than creating a big sort of massive conglomerated audience, if we can try and find a little sort of, I know it's a large niche is an oxymoron, but if we can have a load of bands who are maybe similar to Turing Breaks, and if I make music that maybe sounds also a little bit like the Doves, if we can use Doves as a lead artist and get a family tree of musical acts who sound like Doves, then what we can do is we can compare and contrast and run an advert against several audiences initially, see which is the best performing, and then once we know which one is the best performing, we can shovel more of our money on the top performing one and bin off all the others. Okay. So rather than just having one audience, if we assemble several different audiences of each one based around one sort of musical act. So in other words, if I was a band that was similar maybe to Muse, I could have one maybe that's based around Queen and bands who sound a bit like Queen. I could have one that's based around, I don't know, what's his name, Adam Lambert's, another symphonic operatic. That sort of thing. So
I'm going to go and shut the door because I think they've left the door open. The band's rehearsing.
That's quite all right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a pen and a piece of paper and get a list of all these bands together, and then very shortly we're going to assemble them into an audience. Let's do that. Okay then, Greg, we've done a little bit of market research, as it were,
investigatory,
to try and find a load of bands who are similar to maybe one of the core bands that we sound like, and created a musical family tree. So what we need to do now is, in order to maybe use all that information within a Facebook ad campaign, we need to save it as an audience on Facebook. And by doing it, saving it, it means we can type it all out, and whenever we want to use that in the future, we've no need to keep typing it on and again. Type it out once, save it.
You streamline.
Use it as many times as you want. So let's, no matter where we might be in the Facebook ad platform, just make sure we are in audiences. Your three most frequently used tabs.
Is that your most?
That's my most frequently.
So to begin with, they might have to look through here.
If it doesn't show up there,
then you've got to find it in here.
It comes under audiences. Let's just click that there, and that will refresh.
Just for those who look at it and kind of go, mine says nothing.
And bring up that particular page. So we need to, unsurprisingly, create an audience. And we're going to create one we can save and use for later. Now, because I'm in the UK, it defaults and tells me there are 42 million people on Facebook in the UK. So we need to add in all the other countries that are green-lit for Facebook ads. Island.
So before I kind of get at the moment,
Yes.
what is this for? Why? What's this campaign going to do?
In the very first instance, what we're going to do is we're going to show a piece of content. So, in other words, that's a musical performance from ourselves in a video to try and attract the attention of a specific audience.
So, what is your call to action? Basically, is what I'm saying.
Well, remember how in the last episode we were saying that you can't sell to somebody in the first.
So this is more a hiya, we're here.
This
and
is
then it doesn't
you
matter.
might not have heard of us.
Because the only reason I asked this is obviously so then if you're only kind of just doing a general hello, then it doesn't matter that you're doing it to continents that are nowhere near where you're located.
Well, the idea in this particular case may well just be to try and find somebody who can become a fan. So if you can get them to stream your music, that sort of thing, or order a CD internationally, who knows? But yeah, this is a system to basically find new fans of your music.
Right. Are you going to put in Australia and New Zealand again?
All right, give me a minute.
No, I'm just saying, are you adding? That's not...
Yes.
That wasn't a question.
I just paused to talk to you. Australia. Again, I apologise for the quite low resolution of my monitor. My computer is just not very big. So we've gone from, what was it, 42 million to 310 million. And obviously you can add in other countries, but the idea is that these countries, they don't have any bots, they don't have any click farms. They have people...
Thank you for reminding me why you've chosen these.
Well, you can always rewatch the last episode. But also, as well, these are countries with people who will listen to and potentially buy your music and your products, and so it's a good quality audience.
Right,
I mean,
this is a grade A audience.
A grade A, tippity toppity audience. So we got to 310 million. So you probably won't remember we were saying that ideally our audience sizes need to be between about 500,000 and 2 or 3 million.
Right.
So we've got to whistle this down. So this is where...
So we've got quite a bit of margin.
Yeah. So when we scroll down, we can narrow via age. We don't want to necessarily do that. The idea is that you leave a lot of this alone and let Facebook do the work.
I thought you'd actually start changing this bit.
Well, not in this particular case. All we really need to do is what it says detailed targeting. Now we need to include some of these bands, musicians, artists.
So things from your notepad.
I've got some notes here of bands who are musically similar to Turin Breaks. So I'm going to type in Turin Breaks.
Popular band.
No, hang on. You know why it is? I've spelled breaks wrong. There we go. So if I add that and then scroll up, we've gone from 310 million to 23,000 people. So
hang on. So is that 23,000 people? The amount of people who like Turin Breaks
in those 3 countries, in those 6 countries.
More people like your band than that band
on Facebook.
Facebook.
But there's a difference between Facebook and potentially in the real world.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so
so what I'm getting at is, don't be dissuaded if their number's less than yours.
No. So we're only trying to find these musical interests now.
Okay.
I would type in my friend, is it double T, Scott Matthews? Oh no. All right. Double T. Yeah, Scott. He's got a new album
was he in
coming
one
out.
of those pictures from the other week?
Who?
Scott
What
Matthews.
pictures?
Pictures. You know, when you were doing about branding, and you had a bloke with a guitar. Is that Scott?
No.
Okay.
That was someone else. Now, Cast. Liverpool band. Cast. You can tell where you were brought up. Oh, now look. Here we have the first instance
of where
a band or an artist isn't recognised as an interest in Facebook. Nothing we can do about that.
Or is it because the name of the band currently is a little bit more ambiguous?
Occasionally what you need to... If it's like the band Bread, for example, rather than people who like bread, you type in bread band, and it should find. Just out of curiosity, let's
I'm
see.
hoping that some of our audience are under the age of 45.
Oh, look at that! Even the band Bread. See where the bread actually comes up. Right, yeah. So, if the band Bread was an interest, you'd be able to find them.
I think that's just the word bread.
That is just
156 million.
So again, if you're selling bread flour or I don't know, things to keep your bread in bread bins, there's 156 million.
How are we going to find cast? Or are you saying we don't?
Look, you can't. Apparently, someone as big as Billie Eilish, she's not on here. It's unfortunately just a quirk of the system. Jeff Buckley? No, nothing.
What? That can't be right.
I'm afraid so.
Have you spelled Buckley right?
Yes. I tried this way without at the train station. Embrace. No, right, yeah, okay. I'm hoping.
It's a bit sad, isn't it?
It is.
I'm surprised Jeff Buckley.
Doves. Nothing for the Doves.
What fantastic beasts and where to find them?
Yes. What about Gomez? Selena Gomez. See, I'm not having much luck here. What about I Am Clute? Old Johnny Bramwell himself. There we go. There we go. We found one.
All right.
Star Sailor.
A band that recently toured Australia, didn't they?
That was Ocean Colours.
Oh, okay, I get confused. They sound the same.
Right. Cooper Temple.
Was there nothing for Star Sailor?
No. So if you're struggling,
Do
maybe
you need to press enter?
No. These self-populate these fields.
Wow.
So if you are struggling for bands and maybe trying to look for more bands, you can type in in Spotify and it says, "Oh, people who listen to this."
Right. So you're going to have to
this.
find. So what about elbow?
Elbow's here now, but look at this.
Oh, it could be anything to do with an elbow.
No. That is the band Elbow. But if you look up, see, we've already gone over 3 million. So what you could do is you could maybe try.
No offence, but I can't believe elbow are that popular.
I'm afraid so.
Really?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, see, now you could run.
So now you're actually going to take that out.
I'm going to take that out because maybe that's just a bit too big. What we were talking about before, Paul Draper was his name.
Yeah.
He's not coming up either.
There was RuPaul's Drag Race.
There was, but Manson, there we go. Flaming Lips. So yeah, as we're saying, have a look in Spotify, similar artists. Last FM is also a good place to find similar artists.
It helps basically pigeonhole you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which nobody likes to be pigeonholed, but in this circumstances, it's very good to be pigeonholed.
I'm going to put Paul Weller.
Really?
In there.
Okay, what are we looking at now?
Travis. I'm going to try Travis because Turing Break supported Travis.
Oh, I thought it was because it was raining outside.
And unfortunately, continually raining. No, they're not listed. So let's scroll up. Right, 1.1 million people. So that's between our 500,000 and 2 to 3 million. So what I'm going to name, I'm going to give that a name. I'm going to use block capitals because I find looking at block capitals for my dodgy eyes quite pleasant on the eye.
Okay.
So I'm going to call that.
I was trying to explain to someone that I find reading black text on a white background a lot easier to read than reading white text on a black background.
Night mode and all that. So having typed the name of this audience, we can also add an additional connection here. So what you could also do is...
What would be the benefit of this, first of all?
You could exclude people
who already know who you are.
Already know you. So
okay, that's cool.
So I'm not going to necessarily do that now, but I'm going to click Create Audience because I've typed the name in, and there they are, and I can do that for as many different bands as I sound like, use one particular musical influence, use that as the start of a family tree, and create a load of individual
So these are previous audiences that you've saved. So I'm pointing at the screen, they're not going to see that. If I do this, so that...
For different purposes.
So that is your forthcoming tour, isn't it?
Yes, I won't go to the in-depth...
but these are basically, these are currently campaigns, or maybe
not campaigns.
These are audiences that could be ready for a future time.
Yes.
Right, gotcha.
So what we're going to do now is, and this is like an abbreviated version of how to run a Facebook ad campaign. We're going to take an existing post that's on my Facebook page and use that as the content for which to show people. So I am just going to nip into my band's Facebook page. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to take a real life post that's already been published on our page.
Did Kenny get a choice to be the
cherub? I think he volunteered. He gamely volunteered.
That's good of him.
It's very nice. Isn't it? I can't remember whether we volunteered or whether we made him. Right now, here's a post.
Oh, I remember that. Look at that. That's sunshine.
You filmed this. Now I've edited this video footage in the first instance just to knock it onto a good bit and to get past the bit where our lead singer doesn't sing particularly in tune. But
that's unlike Mr. Bernard.
So what I'm going to do is, at the moment, that text means a lot to our audience, but maybe won't necessarily mean a lot to an audience who doesn't know us. Right. So remember, the text within your post ideally should have some sort of element of mystery or intrigue. So what I'm going to do is do something along the lines of could you handle this much festival? It's like calling out to you as an individual person.
It's an opener rather than a closing statement.
Yes. And what I'm going to do is...
Hang on, is this something that you've made?
This is Facebook emojis that you can copy and paste into your post. And what's a nice smiley face? I'll just do it. Let's not go mad. There probably would have been a time when emojis in posts might have been deemed a little bit, not exactly childish. But what's the word I'm looking for?
I know a bit
too informal.
Right. Yeah.
But not in this day and age. Throw a few emojis in, and again, we're trying to make it look as natural and unlike a sales post
informal.
as possible. Informal.
You want it informal.
Yeah.
So people don't think it's Okay, that makes sense.
Well, in fact, what I maybe wanted to do as well, I'm going to try and change the thumbnail. No matter what thumbnail you choose, Facebook always seems to... let's go for that one there. To make its own. So because I published this yesterday and I've had about nearly 20,000 reach on it already. People say organic reach on Facebook is dead. It's not. It's just harder to achieve. So because this has already got 7,000 views and 241 reactions, it's a popular post already. So people will look at that and will be more inclined to look at it, rather than something that's
unfortunately people judge the figures before the facts.
Unfortunately, a little bit of social proofing always helps. Now, what I want to do is I want to get the URL or video ID of this particular post. No, in fact, I don't need to do that because it's a different type of advert. Right, so ignore me. So that is there. That's safely beavering away in the background. It's a nice visually attractive video. I'm going to go back to my ads manager, which is either over here under create and manage.
So this is the next part along after your audience manager.
Yeah, so we've analysed and created an audience. Now we're going to run an advert against a particular audience. So again, there's a lot here to take in. There's really only these three tabs that you need. Campaigns. Campaign is, what do you want to do? Do you want people to watch a video? Do you want people to buy tickets to an upcoming show? So it's something with a resulting action, and that action could be as simple as just watch this video.
Right.
ad sets. We'll come on to ad sets in a moment, but that's just basically, it's a bit like who, what, where, why, and how is this action going to be achieved. And ads is the ad itself. You can either create an ad from scratch or use an existing post, which is what we're going to do.
Okay.
To start with, let's click Create. Again, there's lots of considerations we can choose here. We just want to choose video views. We just want people to watch our video and do nothing else. So
Okay,
Facebook,
that's your call to action.
well, it's not a call to action, really. It's an intended outcome.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'll click that, scroll down, diddly-dee. Give it a logical name. So I'm going to call this, because the song is called Perfect Pint, Video View Campaign Audience 1. Again, there's lots of potential options. If we don't need to do anything with them, I will pass over them. If they need discussion, I'll discuss them. So let's ignore ad set name for the time being. But here's audiences. So here's where we can either create the audience from scratch
or use a saved
use a saved audience. So using a saved audience would allow us, clicking that triangle there, to type in.
Turing breaks.
Turing Breaks Family Tree. Now, because in reality I don't sound like the great band Turing Breaks, I'm not actually going to use that one. What I'm going to use is this particular test audience here. Because we're working in a realistic studio / rehearsal environment, Greg's had to go out and deal with his customers. So the right hand side, we've got our audience side, which it says our audience is fairly broad. However, what the algorithm will do is we've got a good sample size for Facebook to work its magic from. Here's a list of interests that I'm going to be using. In this particular case, I'm only using 2 countries, but that's just because my needs as a band are probably different from yours. 3, 2, 1, you're back in the room. So I have used this particular saved audience now because of my band's individual needs.
How come why are we not using the Turing breaks?
Because my band doesn't sound like Turing breaks. I was just using that as an example.
Oh, I thought you were using Turing breaks as an example.
I'm not going to run. I'm in a comedy band. I was just trying to pick a band that was close to my heart and would be a typical band that
because the people who
sound.
It changes quite considerably.
Yeah. The audience out there, none of them will have musical similarities to myself.
Okay.
But I've just created this particular audience. I'm trying Ireland for the first time. I've never tried Ireland before.
Well, to be fair, I would say some of your songs could be quite similar,
quite popular in the Irish Republic. Okay, so just by selecting that particular audience, that's what's come up. Now, placements.
You've changed your age to 20 to 60.
Yeah,
like the Concords. I like that.
Yeah, don't worry too much about those interests. I've refined those over a period of time. Josh.
It's not like they can't see this as well.
I know. Right. So, automatic placements recommended. Well, it would recommend. There are times when we need to take Facebook to tasks. I'm going to click Edit Placements. That's basically where do you want this advert showing. Really,
on
for us...
On people's Facebook feed.
Now, if you use Facebook on your desktop, there's lots of individual places in terms of like columns and which part of the news feed. Facebook Marketplace. Because we're trying to make this look as like an organic video as possible,
rather than an advert.
Yeah.
So we don't want Marketplace.
What we're going to do is we're going to knock everything off, other than the Facebook newsfeed.
What about Instagram feed?
No, not even Instagram. It's just like I'm just going to go bang, just the Facebook newsfeed. That sometimes potentially has an effect on the reach, but we're still within our lower and upper numerical bracket.
That burger's making me hungry.
Right, well, just try and ignore it. Now then, budget and schedule. How much do you want to spend and over what period of time? Now, there's two options. There's daily budget and there's lifetime budget. So you could say, let's run the advert for a month and I'll spend £100 over that month. Or, let's run the advert for a month and I'll spend £100 a day. Whoa, make sure if you're going for one, you don't accidentally choose the other. This is very easy to do because my boss, Gavin...
I'm listening.
There's a dog
we have
in
a
the
nesting
tone.
border collie.
Yeah, my boss, Gavin, phoned me this morning to say that he spent 4 to 5 months worth of advertising budget in the space of a week because he did the wrong thing here. It's so easy to do.
Was he kicking himself?
Yes, he was quite distraught. Because what we're doing in this particular instance is we're just doing a little bit of almost like market research just to see how well this post goes with... Are you...
I am. It's just
right. Yes.
This dog's just. Does anybody
just
want
trying
a border collie?
I'm just trying to think of all the famous YouTubers who might have to, interrupt their videos because dogs are messing
It's
them
quite a
about.
common thing.
Right. So,
I'm sure it is.
daily budget.
won't mind.
Here we go. £1.
Right. Okay. What happens? Wow. Our estimated daily reach has changed a little, but not a
It
huge
has,
amount.
yeah.
It hasn't reduced by 20 times, considering your rate has reduced by
So,
20 times.
if we have a look over here, Facebook is saying for £1, he says, I can't, I've no magic ball, but you're going to get between 300 and 800 people who will see that a day. Maybe average it out, 400 or 500 people for £1. That's all right. Basically it gets pushed in their newsfeed. We'll spend no more than £7 a week. Now, optimization for ad delivery. Basically what it's saying is that out of all the people that get shown this video, out of this almost like 2 million people sample size, it will try and optimize and search for the people who will watch it for the longest, or will watch it for a certain period of time. That's probably best for me to say. Back in the old days, we used to optimize for 3-second video views, which, as we know, is what Facebook counts as one video view. Even though if you've got a 3-minute video and somebody watches it for 3 seconds, Facebook counts that as a view. That's not necessarily that good. Then they used to optimize it for 10-second video views, which are a little bit more of a useful metric.
Yeah.
So if someone watches a video for 10 seconds, 10 seconds is a long time on Facebook. What Facebook is now saying is that 10 seconds, that's not necessarily good enough. This through play, and this is an option that's pretty much being chosen for you, is that it will try and find people who will watch it pretty much all the way through.
Okay.
So it defaults and it just says, right, we're going to try and find as many people. I will try and show this out of those 2 million people, the people who not only like it, but I will optimize and I will try and find the people who will watch it all the way through, or as long as we can possibly make it do that. So, okay, it's like, thanks, Facebook.
So what happens if you just select the 2-second continuous video views? What changes to the figure?
I don't know whether the figure will actually change. Oh, no, it will actually. Right, yeah, so in other words, it's saying that, yeah, you might get more people, but they're a lower quality
The
audience.
likelihood of anything beyond that.
Yes.
Right, okay.
So if you're maybe trying to make somebody aware of something, or if you've got a really short advert, you might necessarily go for that. But really, we want to find people who are that engaged with the song that we're about to show them. We want them to hang on for as long as possible. So maybe less is more. The thing that you generally tend to find sometimes with Facebook is that it's it's about the quality of the audience. You can spend a lot of money reaching a lot of people, but that might not necessarily be the best thing. So we've got maybe about 400 or 500 people who will at least be shown this in their newsfeed. When do you get charged? Leave all that for the time being.
What's this bid strategy?
Let's not get involved. Look,
that's all part of the same thing. Okay.
It's complicated to go into this, which is supposed to be a beginner video.
Okay, so we just leave that as default.
Let's leave that as default.
Okay.
Now we can create an ad here. Let's not worry about that. That's a bit complicated. How about we click this use existing post?
Okay.
Instead.
Sorry, it's been a long day.
It's quite all right. So use existing post. Which post is it, Sheldon? Well, let me select it. And I'm going to go for that one there. Click continue. And
it hasn't changed that thumbnail, has
it? What? For the sake of... Right,
can you edit it from here?
You can't edit it from here. I might be able to go in and sort of change that. It's for me, it's not the end of the world, because if somebody's on Wi-Fi, then chances are that video is going to automatically start showing. Facebook Pixel is a bit like a cookie, which can be installed on somebody's website, and once it's activated, or maybe something like a checkout page, it can potentially tell Facebook that a successful sale has been made, and you can have certain types of ad campaigns which will incorporate a pixel, and you can see how much ad spend you've had to spend for each particular sale. So, for example, if you sell tickets through Eventbrite, and you have a conversions ad campaign rather than a video view, and you've got Facebook Pixel installed on the Eventbrite website, you can run adverts and it'll tell you exactly how much you've spent per advert per ticket sale. So it can say, right, it costs you £3.96 to sell, each ticket.
Right. Okay.
Which is good. So that's really good. But nothing to do with Facebook Pixels at the moment. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click confirm. Now, what happens now is
so you've set this for 7 days.
I think I set it for a month, but we're not even going to let it run. We're going to let it run for maybe 2 days. What happens is, well, first off, it's in review. So what that means is
Facebook are checking it over.
Yeah, some work experienced person will sit there and go, oh, let's just check there's nothing sexual or overtly political or sensational. I think they've always done it.
Okay.
What I tend to find is that if you run an ad campaign in the evening, I've found that it can take ages to be reviewed. If you run it in the day...
Yeah, but that's probably because we're in the UK. If you go in the evening, we've got to go back to the US I
think they'll have people in sort of different offices. So what will happen is...
Can I ask a quick question?
You certainly can.
So this campaign, when is it shown?
It will be shown once it's...
Is it shown at a particular part of the day, or is it
shown
during the day?
You can alter it to only show it during the morning, alter it to only show during the evening, alter it so that it only gets shown when football matches are on, like between maybe 3 and 6 p.m. But
we haven't chosen that yet.
We haven't chosen that, and a lot of the time it's best just to let Facebook do its magic. So once that is hopefully approved, and I'm sure it will do, it will then take 24 hours or so to try and do an initial bit of learning. So in other words, out of those millions of people in those several countries, it will show that to somebody, show that to somebody, show that to somebody else, and it will see which of the people that are biting, which people will watch a good proportion of the video, which people just go, what on earth is this, and scoot on by. So it'll try and do a bit of learning, and it'll learn as it goes, and it will still sort of fine-tune over a number of days. But it takes about 24 hours just to try and settle and just say, right, who's interested in this? Who's interested in this? So what we're going to do is we're going to not only run an ad campaign, we'll turn the camera off, but we will also run that video against a different audience. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a test.
So we're going to run it twice?
We're going to run it twice.
One with a targeted audience and one with a more generic audience.
We're actually, because the footage that I'm showing in this particular case is of a music festival, I'm just going to see whether people who like music festivals in those countries like that video better than that pre-saved audience. Because sometimes, unless you test, you can never really tell.
Okay.
And it may well be that, again, if you've got, say, half a dozen audiences based around your sort of largest sort of musical influences, it may well be that for one particular song, audience A really ignites, and the next time you do it, which is a different song, audience A doesn't really like that one, but audience B does. So we're in almost like a testing phase. It's sampling. It's saying, right, who likes this, who doesn't. So we're going to stop this now, just because we've been going on for ages.
Okay.
We're going to run another £1 a day advert against a different audience.
Does this mean that you're going to be editing this one?
No. I can squirt this as an MP4 and give it to you. Thanks, Greg.
I knew it's too much.
I know. But what we're going to do is, in about 36 hours or so, we will come back. We will try and assess the initial performance. And then once we find the winner out of those two,
we will target that specifically.
We'll put more ad spend behind the best performing one, thus saving ourselves money in the process. Well, that was exciting, wasn't it?
I wasn't even ready.
What for? For which bit?
It was just mind-blowingly simple, although it is presented in a slightly complicated way with lots of options to begin with.
And we haven't really even discussed some of the options in any great detail, but that's going to be the next episode. Right, okay. So in the next episode, we are going to have a look at those two particular adverts to see which ad set is performing best. And we'll see how and why they're evaluating. We're going to evaluate our little bit of ad spend, see which one is the winner, and then we're going to put some serious till behind that.
So we're not going to go, it's not worked that well, maybe.
Well, one of them will have worked better than the other, so we'll go with that one.
So, but ultimately what you're saying is it's not do once, forget about it.
No. It's a process that we're going to have to monitor over a period of time, because even with your final advert, there will come a point whereby you've exhausted the audience that you're showing it to.
So in some respects, many weeks ago, we did talk about, how to use your budget. So in some ways, you have to, really kind of prepare to invest a little. So don't blow all of your budget on your production costs.
No, I thought you were talking about blowing the the amount of advertising spend like my friend Gavin did.
Yes. No, I mean, in terms of, you have almost got it's about, allocation, so maybe not spend 100% on your production, maybe spend 80%
Maybe spend 80%.
And then have 20%, so you can do the first campaign and then do the more specialist, which is what we'll be doing next, right? Yep.
So exciting times. So
it does all make sense.
Yes. Next week, as I say, we'll find out which one of those has been the successful ad campaign and how you actually capitalise on it, put more budget behind it, and create a custom audience of people who are really into what you've just paid to show them.
I don't know whether you can answer this yet, but do you already have a total budget in mind that you're going to spend?
No, because this is an example campaign.
Would it help if you did, for the people at home, to say, I'm going to put in a budget of, say, £40, and I'm going to spend, I can't remember how much you spent on the first one. Was it 20?
It was just £1 a day.
So that for 7 days?
No, because it's only it's 2 days since Tuesday, so we're only really going to spend something in the region of about, in total so far, about less than £4.
Right, so that's basically what didn't have to turn the phone off this time. So that's what I'm saying. So you spent £4 now, and so I'm just trying to give the people at home an idea, because for some of them they might think you're going to spend hundreds.
Right, not in this particular instance, but as part of a campaign whereby you have an objective potentially to sell an album, then something in the region of about 200, 300 might be the appropriate amount of spend for that. But again, there's different outcomes, because you might just want to specifically get people signed up to your mailing list.
Yeah.
And that could be your objective. And really,
so your budget varies.
Your budget could vary depending on your outcome. Because if you're trying to get people signed up to your mailing list in the first and just signed up to your list in the first instance, there isn't actually a monetary return that you're going to get from your advertising spend.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But obviously, it's an investment in the first instance to not only be introduced to new people, so more people know of your music, but also secondly, if you can get their email address, you can contact them again and again over a period of time, educating them about you and your music and what you're up to, and entertaining them and growing a stronger relationship with them. And then you're in a better position when you do have to ask for maybe people to buy an album or to come to a show or to buy a hoodie, for example. Then it's an investment in the first instance that will be hopefully acted upon sometime in the future.
Bob did say that in return for a hoodie he wanted 100 flapjacks, which I thought was a little bit extreme.
Right, did Amy end up getting a hoodie, by the way?
No, I didn't. I left it as it was.
Right, well, we'll give them private chit-chat. Sorry you had to be subjected to our private
Bob's
discussions.
Flapjack demands.
So what we're going to do is we're going to finish this episode now. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Hopefully you've got something useful out of it. Like I say, in the next episode we will go on to stage 2. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.